Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
What's good, everyone? How's it going? I have no idea if you guys are listening to me or if you can hear me or not, but let me know if you can or if you cannot on the chat. Welcome to everyone. Welcome, Edson. Welcome, Jay Hurtado. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's gonna be an interesting one. It should be a quick one. It's gonna be, I think, by myself. I don't know if anybody else is gonna be joining me. We were kind of debating if we should, do a show today or not. At the end of the day, we decided to, stay with the consistency of the show and jump on and do something for you guys. Obviously, there's not a lot to talk on. The season has ended, a 0-0 game again. Sporting Kansas City wasn't. There's not really a lot to talk about. So if you guys have any suggestions, throw them in the chat. I'm more than welcome to chit chat and talk about anything that you guys have in mind. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them on the chat as well. I can see everything that's going on in the chat. So just let me know what do you think about the season, I guess. And usually we are going to be we're going to have another show where we're going to have everybody that is on the Bayou City Soccer group, the guys that we kind of get things going and we do stuff here. So we're going to have a roundtable to kind of give our perspectives on what's going on what went on this year, where we think is going to be looking like next year, and just, an all around show to kind of put a bow on it, at the end of lackluster of a season, if we can say something like that. But without further ado, let me just go ahead and let you guys know where you're going to be able to find what we do and everything that we have going on here at Bayou City Soccer. So you can go to the website. BayouCitySoccer.net is going to be where you're going to find everything and anything that we do here in the city of Houston for soccer. Don't forget that we are following the Dash. We are following the Dynamo, of course, and Dynamo those as well. And we also do some pieces around some soccer stories here going on in the city as well. Some college, some other stuff like that, and just kind of like that. We have started doing some player ratings, so those are going to be coming soon. Some of the guys already started working on them. I need to get going myself, but they are in the works. Some already have been turned in to our editor, so those should be coming out soon. But as soon as we can get a good rhythm or have a good amount of players done, we're going to start putting those out. So just be looking out for that. Obviously the year is done, so there's not going to be a lot of soccer to kind of watch or to to talk about and do all that. So we're going to get working with everything that has to do with player ratings, what we think about the season and stuff like that. So they will be coming, and they are coming soon for sure. I know for sure Rudy has already done one, so that's the beginning right there. And Rudy, unfortunately he was not able to be with us today because he's been traveling the world, and he missed last week. He's missing this week as well, but we know that he's back home, so he's kind of decompressing from his trip. But we'll have him come back on the show and kind of tell us everything that he did over in London, and I think he was and many other places. So Rudy is still scouting. He's still trying to get some players. We'll see what he came up with, and hopefully he can bring one or two British guys soon, or maybe not British, but just bring a couple of guys that can play soccer. So talking about guys playing soccer, well, actually, let me just tell you about our sponsors. Also, if we're always looking for sponsorships, if you guys want your name to be attached to ours, just remember we are everywhere in the city of Houston, basically, and we do a lot of things, and everything that we do, we try to give the best possible product. So obviously the sponsors can also feel proud of what we do. So shout out to We Got Soccer, shout out to Ugly Guppy, and shout out to Elotes Bravos. Those are the three guys that have come alongside us and kind of gave us a little push, a little pat on the back, and have helped us out in many different things, from space, even gifts to kind of give out to you guys. So thank you to everyone and those organizations to that helped us out in times that we honestly needed help. So thank you guys for joining along and going with the ride. So thank you to everyone there. And also to you guys, if you are watching this on the YouTube channel today or later, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you haven't. And also, if you are listening to this the day after, just leave us a review. Tell us how good we're doing and everything like that. And hopefully you guys are enjoying everything that we do here, not only in this main, I guess we can call it a main podcast, but we have Orange and Blueprints, and we have our Spanish show as well, Movimiento Naranja. So hopefully you guys can continue supporting us into the next year, and hopefully, the team can get better. So it's awesome when the team gets better and we get better and stuff like that. But without further ado, let me just tell you a couple of things that happened. I don't know about the game. Honestly, the game was there was not much there. I think Ben Olsen kind of said it the best. It was two teams that were fighting for nothing. It was two teams that had nothing going on. And honestly, it just kind of showed what it was, right? A 0-0, a not too dangerous of a game for either side. I guess the only positive side we could say was a clean sheet from the Dynamo. But then again, the best games for the Dynamo were away. So I guess they kept that consistency going when it comes to traveling away and going to other teams' homes and just kind of ruining their fun over there. So that's the plus side of things. Obviously, the downside of things, there wasn't a lot of downside. We saw Quiñones, who had a brief cameo, so that's good to know that he will be around, and hopefully from the beginning next season. We saw Anali. I think Anali was one of the players that it's a difference maker, and I think he's going to be much of a difference maker if he gets to be healthy from the beginning of the season. One of the things that also Ben Olsen talked about on the press conference, if you guys haven't heard it, it is on our YouTube channel up now. But he was talking about, their center back positions and just different positions that have to be strengthened. And he was saying that he wants to have a team of 16, 17 guys that are all-time go, that are going to be pushing each other, position-wise. When you look at the team now, that Griffin Dorsey doesn't really have a backup, or if he does, it's not going to be the same quality of play maybe as him. There's really nobody there to kind of fight for him. On the other side, Andrade, I think on behind him, Escobar is pretty much checked out. He was streaming himself, not only like playing video games, but also I think he was out on a dinner at the same time that Dynamo was playing in Kansas City. So I'm pretty sure he's not coming back. That's just me guessing. If your team is playing away, what I would do, out of respect, is at least watch the game. Maybe he was watching it, but how much can you watch a soccer game when you go out to a dinner, to a fancy place? I don't think they have TVs over there. Maybe I'm wrong and he was watching the game, but I'm just deducting a couple of things, and I don't think he was really paying attention to the game. The guy seems pretty much checked out, and honestly, I loved him as a player, but at the end of the day, just players. I don't know if the guys will approve of me saying this, but a lot of soccer players nowadays are a bunch of mercenaries. They're there for the paycheck. They're there to, get paid and play soccer, and they don't really bleed the colors of the jersey. And I know that lovey-dovey stuff that maybe fans like us would like to see, but that's a story for another day. I think that the fact is that I don't think Escobar is coming back. Andrade has been signed with a new contract for a couple more years, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to be taking that left back position. So now the question is, how can you strengthen and give him also some competition to keep going? And not only him on the left, but also Dorsey on the right. How can those guys be pushed to continue to get better and continue to have more consistency in that play? Because if you don't have a backup or somebody challenging your spot, you can become complacent, and I think that's what happened maybe this year with some guys. When you look at a lot of people, including Madeline, she didn't like Ponce, right? There was a lot of people that just not like Ponce and his work and output. Talking about Madeline. There she goes on the chat. I think Griffin stays. I don't know. right now, the way that I know that players are staying is because of what they're doing on Instagram and social media. So, for example, we seen Eric Shevchenko. He posted, a thank you fans message. Uh, uh, Lingard also posted a thank you fans message. We'll see you guys next year. Obviously, Anali posted a thank you message. So there's a couple of guys that have posted this message, and every day I keep looking to see who keeps, posting these thank you messages. And obviously those are the guys that will be staying. There's some guys that I think we know for sure they're on their way out, but until we get that confirmation, as we were talking, Bassi did too. So pretty much, I think he's going to stay for another year. Hopefully, he gets better. But I think those thank you messages and let's stay strong for next year. It kind of gives a 90% chance that they will be staying and probably not going anywhere else. Hold on, let me check something out real quick. Okay, never mind. Here we go. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously that's where we're gonna know who's going and who's staying. I think was it Vancouver Whitecaps? I forgot which team we were talking today in our group chat that already let the people know what their options were, or when they tell you who we're keeping, who we're not. We're hoping that Pat Onstad and Asher already has a list, put together, especially knowing that maybe like 3-4 weeks ago that the Dynamo was not going to make the playoffs. So hopefully they have a defined list and puts the list out there so we know who's going to be back and who's not going to be back, or maybe who they're still kind of, talking to the same way they did with Stairs last year. Stairs was literally an addition like the week of the beginning of the season almost. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be some conversations like that, but it would be cool to see who the team is going to have so we can just kind of start deducting and seeing who's going to be in and who's going to be out. And then, just as fans, try to see where and what parts of the team would be the ones that need the most help and the most, I don't know, players. One of the things that we talked about were center backs. I think Eric, if Arthur doesn't stay, which it's a 50-50 in my opinion right now, I think he's a great, I think he's a great captain. I think he grew into the role of being a captain, but I don't think he was a great captain from the beginning of the season. But it's one of those things that he could stay, he could go. He's still pretty young. I think he's 30 or 31 years old. He's not an old player per se. But we have to see how he's gonna, if he returns next year, what his role is going to be. He's a player that, with a good team around him, or with a good pair of center backs and a player in front of him to kind of, create game, he can be an amazing player. But when you're asking Arthur to be a player that has to defend and create, I think that's when you lose him, because you're asking too much of him. Another player that for sure should be coming back is Brooklyn Reigns, a guy that we saw really grow into his role. So that should be very exciting to see how he continues to mature and grow in his role. But it's going to be also interesting to see how. See, Arthur is 29, so yeah, I even missed about 1 year. So he's super young. He's a young buck. That's crazy that I am 4 years older than Arthur. That's wild to me. He looks older in person than me, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe I look old and I just think I look young. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that the team needs a captain. Could that be Arthur again? Could that be Eric Shevchenko? I think I lean more towards Eric. I think he has more of the personality to be a leader. Obviously, he wasn't chosen because he was out most of the season, and I think that had to do with the decision of who Ben Olsen wanted to be, a captain on the field. You can't really have a captain and not have the captain play. So, it made sense that Arthur was the one that was next in line to get the captain armband. So that makes sense. Going back to Ponce, also, when I talk, I'm everywhere. So you guys kind of keep me on track. But going back to Ponce, he doesn't really have a backup. When you look at the bench, you had Olusanya. You had Olusanya? Is that? I might be tripping. Toyosi, I'm thinking of Toyosi. I don't know if Olusanya is a person or not, but Toyosi was there. He obviously didn't amount to nothing. The Dynamo 2 guys didn't amount to much either. When you have Gabe Siegel, that when he went in, he had one or two great appearances. I mean, he had a brace, if I'm not mistaken, against New York City FC. And then he had a few other goals, but he is not your go-to number 9, just because his physique, unfortunately, does not help him. He's not tall. He's not like, he's a hustler, but when you're looking for a 9, you're looking for a man of stature. You're looking for a man that has power, presence in the box, outside of the box. And I give Gabe Siegel all the props when it comes to, maybe if he doesn't have that physically, he has the hustle and the heart. But that can only take you so far sometimes. But then again, you have players like, Kun Agüero, who also is a tiny guy, but he was a beast. Obviously, can we see those same qualities that maybe a Kun Agüero or a short, striker had in the past or has today? I don't think we see that in Gabe Siegel. The one-on-one dribbling chances. I mean, Gabe Siegel had a lot of chances this year that he did not put away, and I think that also kind of went against him. So I think Santos, and the little bit that we saw Santos in the last home game, I completely forgot who we played at San Diego. I saw a lot of things that I really liked about him. So I think Santos is a great backup number 9 that could compete against Ponce. Ponce also, the thing about Ponce is that he is a DP. So you expect a lot more than what you got from him. Even though he did have, a double-digit season of goals, and he probably had 1 or 2 assists. And the guy is great, great work rate defensively, which is something that Ben Olsen looks for in his attackers. I don't think his season was A plus, but I don't think his season was also enough. It was probably a B, B minus maybe. If I were to grade it. You need more goals, but then also at the same time, it was a man that did not have any service. So then, how do you fix that? Well, you bring in Jack McGlynn. Jack McGlynn, when the season started, he played too far back, and then you push him forward. So these are the things, and I think the nuisance, is that a word? I don't know. The things that, throughout the season that not enough consistency from the team this year. Yeah, 100% Jay Hurtado. I completely agree, and I think that's one of the things that that Ben Olsen knows also. I mean, you would hope that he sees it, right, as a coach, but it was one of those things that like he said, I never doubted the heart. I think the team played their heart out. It's just they weren't consistent enough into putting games away, and also defending leads, putting games away, which are probably sometimes the same thing and sometimes different things. Maybe sometimes you're just competing for a tie, and then you lose at the end, or sometimes you're competing for a win and then you get tied on the last minute, or sometimes you're tied and then you get, they score on you at the last minute and then you lose. So I think there was a lot of points that were lost that way. A lot of points obviously lost at home that were just completely dropped at home, and you just kind of sit there and scratch your head. What's going on? We thought this was a professional team, but also at the same time, you saw glimpses of really good soccer and really like greatness, in my opinion, in a team that last year was one of the best teams in the MLS, in my opinion. And not only in my opinion, but I think in the opinion of a lot of, MLS pundits of people that watch a lot of MLS, they would say that, the Houston Dynamo was a sleeper, was a team that was a dark horse, was a team that could have amounted to a lot, but for some reason they didn't. Wouldn't say a lot, maybe championships and stuff like that, but they did win a lot of points. They did win a lot of games. I mean, setting records of points and stuff like that, that maybe, to a lot of people, it doesn't matter. Like me, it's like, oh, we set a point of records. Well, yeah, because you're playing 30 more games than usual. But, that's the narrative, right, that you kind of play with. And you obviously going to look at all the positives and try to, look away on the negatives, but that's just part of the game when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. And then on the opposite side, it was, I think it still lacks, some things. And I think not to defend Ben Olsen, because in the beginning of the season, I was one of the only, I'm not going to say one of the only guys, but I was a guy that was very, very not anti-Ben Olsen, but I was asking the question of how long the leash was, right? especially coming from 2 seasons where you went, you won a championship, you won a trophy in the US Open Cup, you went to a Western final where you were literally amongst the top 4 teams in the entire season, and then you go to the playoffs the next game and you do a heck of a season. You win points, you go to the playoffs. Obviously you get kicked out by one of the best teams in the league, that is Seattle. And then you turn around and not only you turn around and you have some of your best players leave, like Steve, we could say Steve in goal, Mikael and stuff like that. But you also had injuries. You had Eric coming in late, and just all these pieces that just started falling off. And then at the same time, like, it's not easy to bring in players whenever the window, it's already closed, or maybe teams are already playing in England or in South America and just literally in other parts of the world, because the MLS obviously plays in a weird calendar that hopefully maybe in the future it will align to other calendars of the world. But I mean, it's one of those things that they miss that advantage. They don't have the advantage of being on the same wavelength as other teams around the world, and be able to pluck players out or get players, and the players that you do get, and you're going to get players that are not playing. Nobody's going to sell you their starting center back. Nobody's going to sell you their best center back. They're going to give you their bench guy. They're going to give you a guy that maybe doesn't play, or they're going to give you their second tier guy that you had in the bench, and maybe they see a little bit of minutes, and you're going to have to settle for those guys. And unfortunately, that's what the Dynamo had to do this year. They had to settle for guys that maybe were not up to par, and you saw the results, and that's just what it was, and I don't think it was I think some of the games were Ben's fault, and the way tactically, the way that they were managed, that's one of the things that we always we would always look at in the first couple of seasons, that the substitutions were late, in our opinion, that maybe there weren't the right substitutions and stuff like that, and it's just kind of, it was what it was, right? And so there was a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions that maybe weren't answered. I think the only people to blame, I don't know if blame, it was a bad season. Let's just put that out there. I'm not saying that it was a good season, because at the end of the day, you are a professional soccer team and you have to compete with whatever it is that you do, right? As a soccer team, you get paid to play, you get paid to coach, you get paid to do a lot of things. But I think at the end of the day, we do have to say that the fault, if anybody has fault at all, it goes down to Pat and Asher and the way that they conducted and constructed the team at the end of the day, because they literally gave Olsen nothing to play with. And I think Olsen and his coaching staff kind of did what they had to do. Maybe some mistakes were of their part, but I think 9 times out of 10, it wasn't the lack of coaching or the lack of, strategy and the lack of stuff like that, but it was the lack of good players. And it's unfortunate, because when you look at, you don't want to bash players, because at the end of the day, they are professionals and you are not. But, when it comes to like being at the stage, you expect a lot more from certain people. And like I said in the beginning, unfortunately, when it comes to teams like the Dynamo, teams that I don't want to say lack culture, because I think we have a bit of culture. But I'll be honest, I'll say it. I think the Dynamo lacks culture. And as much as we say we do have culture here in Houston, I think we do lack an identity. And that's something that is hard to say, honestly, as a fan and as a proud Houstonian and as a soccer lover here in the city of Houston, or, outside of Houston where I live now. But I really don't see the culture of soccer like being united. I think we're still in, I don't know if this is popular to say or not popular, but I think we do have a lot of soccer people in the city, but I don't think everybody's on the same wavelength. I think we're still pretty divided as a soccer community, because there's not a lot of people that I don't see a lot of support, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe this is me talking about myself, right? Literally, there's nobody that here to cut me off or say something or tell me, hey, don't say that. But I think the soccer people are here. The soccer culture is not, and I think those are two different things. Because if the main soccer culture provider, which is the Houston Dynamo, does not provide soccer culture into the culture, ingrain it into the people of the city, I mean, they are the ones leading it. So if they're not going to create anything, then how the heck are the people supposed to respond to it? You know what I mean? I mean, if you look at Seattle, if you look at Atlanta, if you look at LAFC, if you look at Galaxy, I don't think Galaxy has a soccer culture, to be honest. But if you look at LAFC, if you look at Seattle, if you look at Portland, if you look at Miami, doesn't have a soccer culture, in my opinion, either. I don't know, maybe Philly. I don't see it either. I think they just have a good fan base. But there's only a handful of teams that I could honestly, I mean, even St. Louis, I think, has a great soccer. Nashville has a great soccer culture. But Houston, I'm kind of hesitant to say that they have a soccer culture, to be honest. And now that I think about it, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say that Houston doesn't have a soccer culture. We have a lot of soccer people. I think we have a lot of knowledgeable soccer people. I mean, and the stuff that I do in my day-to-day, and, you know, you guys know that I do a lot of stuff in the soccer community around town, but you always see the same few people, to be honest. And even then, you know, it's kind of hard to get people to back projects. It's hard to get the Dynamo to back projects, to be honest. I think nowadays they're starting to get better with the community, but even then, I don't see them backing the soccer community as a whole. I mean, till not too long ago, they were competing in the youth programs. And I mean, and I think youth parents can tell you that. I mean, Pat Onstad would tell you that himself, that till not too long ago, Houston Dynamo was competing against their own soccer culture and their own soccer youth programs. And I think that's something that they did really well in fixing it and mending the relationship. And not only mending it, but they really just got out of the game. They literally just took themselves out of the youth game, and they said, you know what? We're just going to do the academy thing, and we're going to, you know, propel players that, you know, let's just say you're in a team and they have an elite player, then yeah, we'll go get that elite player and bring him into an elite academy or in an elite program where you're creating professionals. And I think that is the best way to do. But when you're out there just competing against these teams, I think that was a bad way to go, because nobody really wanted to go to the Houston Dynamo because they were at the same level as everybody else in a way, right? Or they were putting themselves down there to compete against them. And I think a lot of people did not like that. But going back to the soccer culture, I think it has to be, yeah, the Dynamo as an organization, as, you know, Houston, HDFC and Dash. I think they have to do a better job in I don't know, putting something, I don't know. I really don't know what they have to do because I'm not a marketing expert. I think I have some ideas, but that's neither here nor there because I'm nobody for them to listen to. But talking to people and knowing people, I mean, a lot of people don't even could care less about the Houston Dynamo. So the idea is, how can we get the soccer people to care about the soccer culture of the club? But obviously a lot of these things can come down to caring about a team that actually wins, right? So it's a double-edged sword, because on one side, you know, you need a team that wins on the field, and on the other side, you need a really good club organization that can promote that. But if you don't have, you know, a good product to promote, then what the hell do you promote? So it's kind of weird. It's a yin yang. It's a vicious circle of ideas that don't go nowhere, because you can't get one right, therefore the other one is not right. And if that one is not right, then players don't want to come in. If players don't want to come in, then you don't win. So it's a vicious circle. And I think one day we'll get it right. I think we are in the right, we as in the Houston community, we're in the right trajectory to hopefully get that going. And I hope the Houston Dynamo can also jump in that bandwagon and my hope and my dream is that this World Cup coming to Houston, hopefully stays in Houston, can be a catalyst of the Houston soccer community to back up the Houston soccer team. And I think that's where the click is going to hit for a lot of Houston soccer people, because that was me. That was me. I was a Houstonian that loved soccer, but I did not support the Houston Dynamo. The first team I supported in the MLS was the Portland Timbers, believe it or not. I have no affiliation, nobody in my family, nothing ever has ever that I known been in, seen, talked about Portland, but for some reason that culture of Portland soccer attracted me. And that was, and I'm talking like 2012, 2013. No, even before that, I'll be honest, because that's when I started kind of looking into the Dynamo in 2013, but I didn't really come in to becoming a full supporter of the Dynamo until 2018, 2019. And that was because I said, you know what? I love soccer, right? I love soccer. I love Houston. It happens that both of these meet somewhere in the middle in the Houston Dynamo. So why not support the home team? So that's where my love, quote unquote, became true. And Portland is the one that cuts the logs, but I don't think it was the lug cutting, because I think that's corny, but I think it was just the atmosphere or the people or the way that their players play. I mean, if you look at Portland players, like, they have that Portland charisma. It's like you feel like they were all born in Portland. When you look at Houston, you don't see a lot of those guys that you're like, you know what, this guy's Houston through and through. Maybe if he wasn't even born in Houston, you see a lot of guys that you're like, maybe this guy is not from Houston or he's not Texan, but now that he's here, he's 100% bought in. And I think that's one of the things that we lack the Dynamo lack in that sense. Like, not a lot of the players are bought in. I really don't know where it is, where that the magic point is, where you have guys buy into what you're trying to do. But I think Ben Olsen is kind of bought in, right? I might be wrong. I might be right. Hopefully I'm right. But it seems like it's one of those guys that where he's at, he's going to throw everything that he has and he's going to go 100%. Like, he's like a loyal person to his craft. Therefore, his loyalness doesn't let him half-ass things. I don't know if that makes sense. That's who I see Ben Olsen as, like the person as, because when we talk to him after games, when they're shitty, he's really mad. When the Dynamo wins, he's obviously super happy. And obviously he is the coach. He is the leader of the team. But it seems like the guy is really bought in. So I don't know. That's just my perception. I might be wrong, but I hope that I'm not. And then if you look at the squad, if you look at the roster, how many players can you truly say that are bought in? How many players are you going to, like, can you truly say that they're going to be a legacy person? Like, when you look at Bonilla Garcia, it's a guy that you're like, man, this guy's bought in. When you looked at Darwin Seren, the guy was bought in. When you look at, I don't know, Brian Ching, you were like, this guy's bought in. When you look at Eddie Robinson, you knew the guy was bought in. And there's a lot of players that came by and came and went, right? There's a lot of those guys that came and went, but there was a lot of guys that came in, bought in to whatever it was that the project and the city was offering them. And then when they left, they were still bought in. And my question is, as to the fans, is, are you bought in? Because it's easy to, buy in when everything is high and dandy, but are you bought in when shit is whack, for lack of a better word? Can you be bought in whenever the team is not doing good? And yes, it sucks and it's frustrating and we all love a good winning team, but can you be bought into the culture and to the idea that this is Houston and we're going to support Houston? Or are you just going to jump off, the minute things go bad? And I get it. This is me talking. And if we had a game that you guys had to drink every time that I said I was Argentinian, I think people would be drunk off the bat. But I think a lot of times my defect, and I think a lot of people would agree, is that I am very passionate when it comes to this damn sport. And maybe I'm passionate to a detriment to myself, but I think a lot of people feel the way that I do, and they're not necessarily Argentinian. I mean, I know a lot of people that love, the freaking Houston Dynamo, and they're not Argentinian. So shout out to those guys. But I think a lot of us have to be bought in, and I understand that you can be bought in and not complacent. I think those are two. You can be both. You can be bought in and not complacent and want a winning team, right? And at the same time, but I think a lot of those people, I think they kind of mix everything, and that's when you have the issues. And a lot of people buy in when everything is good, and I'm not going to talk about supporters that buy season tickets, because I don't have a season ticket, so I'm nobody to talk about season tickets. But it hurts when you see people that had season tickets for 20 years, and then you have a shitty season because it was a shitty season, and they're like, oh, F this team. I'm never going to see this team again. They lost all my business. And I get it. It's at the end of the day, it is business, and, you paying for entertainment. But in my little brain, obviously, soccer is more than entertainment, is more than a sport. It's kind of like a way of life. It sounds cheesy, but that's just how I see it. But it just sucks. It sucks when you see those people just kind of walk away for stupid stuff, especially in a league that doesn't have promotion and relegation. I could assure you, I always think about this because it just makes me chuckle, because there's always next year, bro. Like next year, like literally is next year is next year. And the team could literally win it. I mean, look at LA Galaxy. They went to champions to like almost a wooden spoon, almost the worst team in the season. And I can promise you that next year they're going to be fighting. They're going to be contending, because they're going to fix things. And they had a crappy season where, maybe they couldn't pay who they wanted to pay. And, maybe you have teams like Miami or LAFC that have the checkbook and could compete every single year. But, when you're a small team, that's the plus, seeing the ups, being there for the ups and downs, being there for the good times and the bad. But I don't know, maybe that's just me wishful thinking, but who knows? I don't know how long I've been talking for. I think it's almost 37 minutes, 38 minutes. If you guys don't have any questions on the chat, I know there's only a couple people watching. Jay Hurtado Houston seems pretty lit when I started rooting for Houston Dynamo from an LA person. So Jay Hurtado, have you ever been to Houston? Like how is your story? How are you an LA person that likes Houston? Usually those two don't combine, because I know a lot of Houston people, and a lot of Houston people don't mess with LA or Dallas or other cities like that, other big cities. So I'm interested to know how your story went. And Edson, and I think Edson, he's like, he lived in Houston for a while, but he came through the RGV connection and stuff like that. So I can see how the colors, run through his blood, and he's very a soccer guy. So I can see that, once a fan, always a fan type of person. So me and Edson have a lot in common, to be honest. But while I wait on that, let me ramble on for 30 more seconds and see if Jay Hurtado has an answer for me. But let me go ahead and tell you guys once again, we appreciate everyone that is listening and coming in and tuning in to us. We will be having a roundtable discussion with everybody on Bayou City Soccer, everybody that contributes there. So stay tuned to that. It's going to be an awesome conversation. Everybody's going to be able to chime in and give their opinion. You're not going to just listen to my ass or my butt just ramble on for 40 some minutes. We're going to have actual smart people that look at spreadsheets, like shout out Dustin, shout out my boy Joey. Those are the guys that are maybe too analytical sometimes, but it's okay. We still love them. Or us non-analytical people. And then, you have people like Rudy. Shout out Rudy. He's just a guy. But yeah, my cousin played with you guys last few seasons. Wait, what? Who's your cousin, bro? Oh, that boy, Jay Hurtado. You can't just throw stuff like that. Is that? You have to let. Who's your cousin, bro? Is this? Have we been talking crap about your cousin, and you are still supporting us? I mean, bro, let us know who your cousin is so we can stop talking smack about him. But hopefully, nobody that we have talked smacked about. But we'll keep it there. But hey, family is family. We have Joey Chavala, same thing. He's never lived in Houston. He's never lived in Texas. A boy's from New Jersey. That boy ended up living, I think he lives in New Mexico now, and he is a distant cousin of the Chavala guy that played for the Houston Dynamo. So he has that connection, that orange connection, and he has been a orange fan ever since. And see, those are the things that I love about like people like Joey and maybe like Jay, that they found a connection, they found a team, they stay loyal to the team no matter what. They're not going to be over here, changing teams. I mean, for freaking Joey and his family are Jets fans. I don't want to talk down on football because I don't know anything about football, but Jets fans, from what I know, are like the people that suffer the most. So for you to be born and to grow older and be like, you know what, I'm going to be a Jets fan. It's like saying, you know what, I love suffering. And and it's one of those things that I commend Joey Chavala and his parents, or and his family, for being Jets fans, and also for picking a team that maybe wasn't good whenever he picked them, or maybe they were. I don't know when he became to be a Houston Dynamo fan, but he became a Houston Dynamo fan, and he has never switched over. He could have been a Red Bulls fan because he's closer to them. He could have been an NY, New York City FC. He could have been a Philly guy. He could have been, fans of maybe better organizations or flashier name. But he decided to go with Chavala. I mean, with Chavala and the Houston Dynamo. So, well, I commend you guys for doing those things, but. Okay, as we shut it down, BayouCitySoccer.net is going to be the website. Go check us out over there. Like I said, we're going to have a roundtable discussion coming up soon. Stay tuned to that. Let us know what you guys want from us, and maybe we can make it happen. If you have any special requests when it comes to what about statistics on this metric, or I don't know, what about story on this? What about story on that? If we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. We're trying to get, more players and probably, front office people to come on the show and maybe give us a rundown of the season. I mean, we had Pat, we have Ben Olsen every week, basically. So there's that. Go just check our YouTube channel. That's where you're going to see all the information. Bayou City Soccer on Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky. Those are going to be where you're going to be able to find us. Shout out to Ugly Guppy at uglyguppy.com for always sponsoring us and giving us gear and loving on the Houston community as well. We Got Soccer, WeGotSoccer.com. Also, thank you for the great studio that you guys provide for us to do some shows. And we had Griffin Dorsey and Bond come out last time, and they took pictures with the fans. They gave away stuff. We gave away jerseys. We gave away some good stuff. So stay tuned to that. If you want to meet players, if you want to get some gear signed by them and stuff like that. And then, of course, Elotes Bravos, every time that we go to the stadium, they take care of us and they take care of everybody out there. So check out when you guys go to the stadium to watch the Dash or the Dynamo, they're going to be there to provide you with the best corn in a cup that the city has. Without further ado, thank you guys on the other side watching, listening. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, where you're going to find us is at BayouCitySoccer.net. And I think that's going to be it. 45 minutes of me rambling. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I don't get fired for this. Sorry, Dustin. Sorry, Rudy. Sorry, Joey, if I said something that I wasn't supposed to, but I think we're good. So thank you guys. Y'all have a good night. We appreciate the love and support. Don't forget to continue to support us. And the next year, 2026, we are hoping and planning bigger and better things, hopefully coming our way, and hopefully a better Houston Dynamo. Hopefully we get a playoff. Hopefully we win a championship. I really want to get a tattoo of the Houston Dynamo on me and I said that I was only going to get it whenever we win an MLS Cup. It's about time. It's been almost 20 years. We need a trophy. And yeah, let's do that. Let's get it before Austin or Dallas gets it. I know that, Dustin doesn't like it, but next podcast, hopefully, it should be next week. I think we'll plan something for next week. If not, we'll probably have a week off and then come back on. But we'll let you guys know. We'll for sure let you guys know on social media. Check us out. Usually we're going to Instagram and X. Those are going to be the accounts that we're usually more active on. So go check those out for sure. But we'll let you guys know when our next show will be on. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Edson. Y'all have a good night. And we'll see you guys on the other side. Ciao, ciao.